Hello my friends, and welcome to monthlies. This is going from July 23rd to August 22nd. And just quick note, thank you everybody for helping, sharing, subscribing, liking. I appreciate a lot. 10,000 is a really cool thing to be at just in less than 5 months. So quick announcement, we only have one special this month, which is your expert. So if you want it, check it on my website. Love you. Hi my dear Virgo friends, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're going to continue to progress from the last month, and I hope you're actually getting ready because the next month you'll be the number one. Everything will happen being Virgo first. Until then, let's jump in and let's see what is basically the mission for you this month. So as I actually got, these 3 cards out, I was looking at it and like W2F came through my head. What the heck is going on? And then I went to kind of like get the earth magic cards, and I think it's actually starting to make sense. Here we have winter solstice and Milky Way, and I have reflection and I have perspective. So look, one is going really deep. The water runs deep, right? And kind of like really figuring out deep inside of you what garbage still exists, what needs to be taken out. You need to really do this work inside. You are a really detail-oriented sign, so I'm pretty sure this is kind of like not going to be hard to put that kind of like task for you, but it's not as easy to dig it out and to get rid of it. Now, how to do it? Milky Way, the perspective. We're just like tiny little speck. This is not even us. This is our galaxy. So if you put in the perspective, everything we do, our thoughts, our life, what is happening to us is just like really minuscule in the big scope of events. So this is basically saying things can go inside and things can go outside. Kind of like find yourself in that perspective. You are the earth sign, and this is kind of like what's even more interesting, that I got water and air over here. So it is asking you to expand yourself. So instead of like being like down to earth, it's asking you to go deep as you can go. Mariana Trench deep, and as far as you can go in terms of understanding the bigger perspective. So somebody said to me a long time ago, I don't know what I was like feeling really upset about. Okay, I was like a teenager back then, and I think it was my father, and he asked me to kind of like go and volunteer in a cancer hospital. And boy, that put things in perspective, that my problems are really not problems. So kind of like each and every time I kind of like fall in a hole, I kind of like remember that each of us have our own cross to bear. And certainly it's so much easier to give advice to somebody else when this is not your own skin, not your own feeling. And hence, when you're not actually feeling affected, it is also easier to understand what is the best method. So I always remember that the best method is like really to keep putting things in perspective and kind of like keep going forward. So now these first 3 cards that came out started to make sense, right? So you have courage, which is 8, and you have guilt, which is 8. So it's again up and down, outside, inside. Can you kind of like have the courage to break through, which is kind of like very similar to existence. Existence is basically a lotus flower, but here look, it's like looking at a shooting star. Lotus flower has to go from the muck all the way to the surface of the water, right? And then open up, and it opens during the day and closes during the night. So it kind of like has these motions, knowing when to open and knowing when to contract, just like reflection, going inside, perspective, going outside, looking up. So this is basically talking about us understanding that it is actually really more to us than just basically, sitting on our behinds worrying about our little kind of petty problems. Like, what basically this is calling for us is to open up. It's calling for us to see the bigger picture, to kind of like look for that shooting star. You Virgos really deserve it. Like, you did lots of work, and I really hope that right now you will realize that almost like you're in the final stages, because when reflection starts to show up, that tells me you actually did the majority of the work. So right now here, basically, when you look at this, you and this person being naked, this is not accidental, right? So without you existing, something else would not be working. So you did not happen as a mistake, right? Nothing happens as a mistake. So this is again kind of like coming into putting these things in perspective. And you kind of like should understand that all these things around should actually give joy and love, because it has been created for a reason. It has been created to enhance everybody's life. So just like you were not a mistake, nothing else was. Nothing that has happened to you is a mistake, and even though maybe we don't understand it in the moment, it certainly kind of like in the big picture starts to make sense. So courage is pretty self-explanatory, but before I get to courage, let's talk about guilt, because I think this is where this reflection starts to like kick in, right? So guilt is one of the most destructive emotions where, like, we can find ourselves. So if we have wronged another, or even if we go against our own truth, then kind of like it's natural that we will feel bad, right? But allowing ourselves to be overwhelmed with this guilt, it's kind of inviting a huge headache, and headache or slash negativity slash all of a sudden nothing is really working out in our life, right? So the self-doubt is really not beneficial, right? So I do understand we all want to be better people. We all want to kind of be stress-free and loving and more aware and more true. But if you kind of guys start to punish yourselves for your failures, then you kind of like get locked, right, in the cycle, right? So again, just like the existence said, you're just really okay the way you are, and it's kind of natural to be human and to go astray from time to time. You just have to learn here with this reflection, if you get into this guilt area, that you just have to come back on the path. You just strayed away, and it is time to kind of like return back. So for that, you need this courage, right? So in this card, we see this like small wildflower that kind of like has met challenge of the rocks and stones in the path and kind of did emerge. We have seen many times like kind of something flowering against all odds, right? And this is basically saying to us, we sometimes just superficially understand the nature. But if you ask yourself, how hard will it be for me to do that? Then you would understand the gravity of how this little flower conquered everything. So instead of blaming somebody else for the hardships, we actually should face our own hardships and grow out of it, right? Because this flower shows us the way and kind of like how to lead the life of passion, how to really be focused, how to fight against the odds and challenges, right? So this is asking you just to be simply courageous to grow into the flower that you're meant to be. Okay, so I'll put it aside, and I'm pretty sure during the reading this is going to come in perspective. So I have to stop because I have to cough, and I'll be right back with you. All right, I'm back for you. That was just an instant. So I have shuffled the cards already. So we have on the bottom of this deck, getting to know each other. As you reveal your innermost selves to each other, your bond deepens. So I think it's the part of the process of reflection, and it's also kind of understanding that maybe sometimes we take certain things as wrong because we tend to go left or right. Maybe, it was more behind this. I'll just tell you, yesterday I was in a class, and I have noticed that the teacher was kind of like a little bit nervous, and I innocently asked, "Are you okay?" And got stormed, and you're like, you're calling me and this. So it's just like it shows that even the most innocent thing can sometimes set people off because you really don't know on which kind of tangent they are. So getting to know each other is basically helping us resolve these kind of communication. They're not errors, they're simply kind of like fine-tuning this vibrational field. And here we see 5 of Cups. Again, you're still dealing with that guilt, with rejection, with despair, possible depression. But this is like now in the upright situation. So it's kind of like slowly that you're going to get to realization that you have to, okay, figure out that, yeah, you know what, this has, you know, spilled, but I better turn around and see what I can make it work, or then everything just kind of like becomes nonsensical, because otherwise the emotions can just simply evaporate. So it's kind of like coming back to understanding that, yeah, I know it sounds easier than said than done, that kind of like sadness is not really useful emotion, but it's really necessary because it does gives us these pointers. This is our stop sign on our basically road of life. So what do we have? We have chemistry, we have new love, yay, reconciliation, finances and career. I know you've been dealing with this, looks like it has been handled. Engagement, heart-to-heart conversations, religious factors, let your friends help you, free yourself, and release your ex. Oh my gosh, what a mess. From engagement to release your ex. So it's going to be an interesting month, right, Virgo? So let me see what is basically Tarot saying about all of this. Okay, I see there's still lots of tying loose ends, and it looks like still dealing with stability and kind of like some manipulation that took place, and you're still maybe handling these emotional issues. Maybe this is why we had this 5 of Cups. It could have been somebody who has kind of like come across as the one, but it turned out that the actions didn't follow the words. So still, even though you feel this way, there are like so many good things going on in your life. And I should probably start with positive first, but I kind of like just wanted to get bad things out of the way. So let's see basically what happened in the past. You were kind of really a little bit exhausted with everything that has been going on. It looks like kind of like you needed rest, you needed recuperation, you needed sort of like to get your thoughts together. Very much in area of finances and career. Financial issues are a factor in your love life right now, and kind of like still, I think you did get out of that period with kind of like reaching some closure. It could have been some kind of like splitting the funds, and it could be sort of like a career-oriented mission where you kind of like figure out a new passion where you want to go. So this is what happens when 9 of Wands appears. So now you have 7 of Swords reversed. So this is like the mice are partying when the kitty is sleeping. So not a great card when it comes in the upright situation, but when is this reversed? This card tells me about independence and kind of like independent thinking more than anything else, and closure. This is like when you finally get your why answered, right? The why is the difficult question to ask because nobody owns us why, and we get stuck. It's like a fish on a hook. We get stuck. And just because we are thrown in the water doesn't mean that we are still not wounded. We are still hurting and recovering, right? And this is finally kind of like getting to the stage of healing and saying, I shouldn't bite that one. That hook is a danger. That's kind of a thing where it looks like lots of mental issues, not mental issues, mental processes took place that kind of like did kind of like put some kind of like wind behind your wings. And I'm not so sure what is about this reconciliation and engagement, and then release your ex. Sometimes we go through back and forth kind of things a few times before we finally kiss goodbye. And the reason for that is that our brain just simply wants us to believe in the best in people. Also, you know, it's a drug to extend these good moments that somebody makes us feel good with so many things happening around us these days, right? Oh, look, this one was flipped. So, was there an issue of not being on the same page? Because it says someone from your past is returning to your life. And Knave of Pentacles is showing a progress. It could be somebody older who acts very young, or somebody younger who acts very old. In any case, this is kind of like a slow progress. And slow progress on your terms, Virgo, because they're kind of earth cards. 3 earth cards. It could have been somebody who, yeah, that's what I saw. That's what kind of jumped at me, that it could have been somebody who had an extracurricular activities, and that has been addressed and that has been noticed. You know, this is talking to me that 3 of Pentacles, when it's in the reverse situation, you see here is like a teamwork needed to kind of get forward. So in this case, at the best, meaning of this card is like, okay, we are not getting together to kind of build it, right? So, and even here, like, I mean, which way do I go? Which one do I keep up? Which one I don't? And you see this checkerboard is not coincidence, and here we have a checkerboard. If you're noticing, this is basically reality. It's actually the Matrix. For those of you who've seen the movie, you kind of like probably remember the scene where it was like a red pill, blue pill. This is just the foundation of Kabbalah. Which kind of like path are you on? Are you on devil's path or fool's path? And each of them have a different lesson. But when you kind of go on this fool's path or God's path, then this is kind of this fake reality. This is just the surroundings, but it's not who we truly are, because who we truly are goes inside. So this is saying that your sense of that integrity has been violated, right? And actually this was upright, and this can actually mean just coming back to your senses, kind of trying to figure out, oh well, this is life, maybe I can tolerate this, maybe I can't. This is still showing indecisive kind of like stage, but this can also mean that you're trying to move forward in spite of all these issues that somebody has juggled. Or it could mean that you're the one juggling. It doesn't have to be necessarily 2 people. It could be 2 projects. It could be between being with a person and not being with a person. So I would say the progress depends on lots of steady daily integration over here, right? And see how this kind of goes. Like, you have really grounded energy in your basically base. So this is really important because you have it here as well. And it says chemistry, right? It says there is a strong magnetic attraction here. However, this time it looks like you learned the lesson. Knight of Pentacles is moving slower. So look at these knights have different mode of transportation. You see, this knight, this ignition, the engine that you had in the past was fast. It was like hits you like a thunderbolt and you're just jumping, right? But here it's a slow and steady, and you know what they say, slow and steady wins the race. And kind of like maybe you kind of burn yourself in this energy, or maybe exhausted yourself because you're the earth sign, and it's kind of like really hard for you to be on fire level, because that's like if you're a car and somebody's asking you to fly, yeah, it's kind of tough, right? And you see here we have the strength, right? So check this out, we have a repetition of this, right? So there is a kind of a need to understand, to break it out, that things are possible. So that matrix here, that society that tells us no, no, you can't, you can, could be an option. Doesn't have to be reality. Just like ask yourselves that, right? Because it says, look, there is chemistry with someone, or if you're completely single, there will be somebody who will be coming your way, but you're going to question either your ability to move forward or the strength of that relationship to move forward. Yeah. And I think that's actually probably somebody from your past, because you have a 2 of cups this time reversed, right? And this is definitely saying it's some kind of breakup. It's, again, it's kind of weird. You're moving forward, but you want to move forward, but then kind of like you get stuck. And I think this goes back to all this kind of conflicting messages that I got through your oracle cards. It's just, I think it's really inner work that is happening and taking place, because you're right now understanding that it could be kind of like, I mean, Pyrrhic victory. It's kind of that victory when you win, but you really don't win, right? So moving forward is still something you want to consider, but at the same time, you're not sure if this is the right person, the right place, right time, but mostly if this is the right person and if this can actually even work out. So this is crossed with new love, and then another 8 of wands, but it's reversed. So this is now talking about communication, and so this chemistry, new love, it could be somebody appearing. This also could mean that somebody new is appearing, but you still have, see, because 8s are connected, and you have 8, 8, 8, and like you have 2 8s. You see this one here is repeating, and this one here is repeating. So it's, the message is coming out really, really clearly, right? So, and then you have 2 9s as well. So these are those final stages that you are kind of like mulling it over. What is that you want? Do you want a new love? Do you want the old love? And in any case, you will open yourself to possibility, just like as high as you can go, as deep as deep as you can go. Look, we have the 3rd mode of transportation. So here is like your tarot lesson. Where is this knight? Check these 3 knights. Look at the mode of transportation, right? Earth, the cups. Knight is like transporting himself on a turtle, so it's even slower. Then here you have the far cat or the fox, and then here you have an eagle. So you can see that's why swords are generally said to be very difficult to deal with, because it's a very, very high energy, and generally only the air signs can handle that energy, and that's why the others see that as possibly abrupt energy, but there is no abruption there, because it's just like simply very, very fast. So again, do I want to go? Do I not want to go? It's going to be a lots of self-examination, communication, and I think you're going to be putting out a lots of happy faces, but not necessarily feel happy. You do want to feel happy, you do want this for yourself, but there's still kind of like that inner conflict, something that has to be addressed. And this is like more or less on the intellectual level, on kind of discussion, maybe even with yourself. But it could be certainly you guys are not going to lack love connections this month. It's everywhere, and it's you're deciding to kind of like move slow, and even with this, you're still going down and kind of like trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. You're certainly considering that reconciliation and actually continuing with this, right? It says your love life is ascending to a higher level of commitment. And here is the sun, which is kind of like, can I regain this innocence? Can I get this ability to kind of like grow this relationship? How do I progress? You see, this is King of Pentacles. It would be the ideal king for you. It's somebody who is reliable, who can actually support you, who basically does believe in like, I mean, hard work and hard play. Somebody who basically likes wine, earthy pleasures, food, luxury, jewelry, like all kind of stuff that we in third dimension kind of like really enjoy. But look, this is that conflict, perpetual conflict that you have. Like, is this person really the solution, or is this person going to backstab me? You actually already foreseeing some issues, because look, this is 19 and 1 and 9 is 10, and you have a 10. So these are those two bookends from this person who can actually be as harmful as possible and as, you know, loving as possible. I'm wondering if there is somebody in your life who's kind of like very controversial, who is really keeping you on your toes, because you maybe don't know what to expect. This also actually can talk about a bipolar person who goes to really highs and who goes to kind of like real lows. But again, you have another 10 here as well. So you want this sunshine, you want this piece of happiness for you, but at the same time you're like so scared about it. And I think this is why the overall energy was getting to know each other, because this is why you kind of like really want to go slow, so that way if you fall, that you're going to see the hole before you fall. Because this 10 is always talking about, you guys should have seen it, you should have seen this coming up, but you did not want to believe it, right? There is actually one reader on YouTube who is consistently saying, I'm really bad, people don't like me, and I don't get along with people, and you would not believe the comments, no, you're not, and you're so sweet. And this is where, you know, people, especially women, go wrong. Believe him. Yes, believe him. If he tells you this, he is. And you know, you don't have to go really far in looking basically things he does and says and how he says, to really realize that he's actually telling you the truth. So this is kind of like you owning it, that you have heard it and you have to take it for what it is. You cannot interpret if somebody says, I'm bad, no, you're good. No, people do know who they are. So do you, and that's maybe where you're experiencing this guilt and regaining your new strength, right? So what's going to be happening? Heart-to-heart conversations. You see, you are really cautious this month. It says honestly discuss your feelings with each other, and here you have like this winning attitude. I'm kind of like going forward. I kind of like want to kind of win this game, but can you? Wow. So 3 out of 3. That will be this. But it is not good, which is the same thing. Looks like you want to create something just to create it, because when the Magician comes reversed, it is talking about that universal power. You see this existence where it is like the same opening up. This kind of lotus is opening up. It's almost like would be equivalent of a plastic flower telling you they're like that beautiful lotus that kind of like spent so much time to grow to the surface. So it is like something that appears as it is, but it's really not a victory. And it could be that somebody is coming to your life pretending and positioning themselves to be something really way more than they are. And you know, and actually I think this is like really what it is. It's not you, it's somebody else. And you will call them on it. Knave of Swords, you will call them and say, you know, I'm sorry, I really don't think there's any winning in the relationship, and let's start all over again. So this is why this heart-to-heart conversations, this says honestly being the key. Discuss your feelings with each other. So somebody kind of like always wants to say, I'm better looking, I make more money, etc. Okay, I do understand these are all things that are needed in a relationship, and it has to be kind of balanced, but it is like all a matter of how do you glue this together. So religious factors. Your love life is influenced by your religious upbringing and spiritual path. And here is this manipulative Knight of Wands. Religious factor can be a marriage. Religious factor can be any sets of rules that we subscribe to, right? Anything that we think we quote unquote have to do it, right? Because everybody tells us so. But this is why I'm going through this perspective and reflection. Do we? Because maybe some of you are trying to reconcile because it is good for the kids, or it is because, I don't know, I'm Catholic, whatever, right? You have to ask yourself, hello, if I just shed all of this and get to the core of who I am, go into this reflection and see why are you feeling guilty. You're going to get to the core. Where do you feel manipulated? Yeah, exactly. The High Priestess is like gaining inner knowledge. She is basically emotion, right? So this is one that you had here. This is two. So we have Fool, 0. And then we have like Magician, 1, or Existence. And then we have 2, the High Priestess. High Priestess is like the higher level of understanding, where you kind of like, you look at people, you don't necessarily say anything, but you kind of like do get them, and kind of you get their number, and you take this knowledge with you and you make your own decision. This is like past this heart-to-heart conversation. This is like, okay, we had this talk, I did tell you how I feel, I did ask you to do this, and the fact that you're continuing with the same things is telling me a story. So you are taking this information, absorbing it, and thinking through how to deal with this. In your case, you're seriously considering coming back. You see, this is like another 8. 8 of Cups is walking away, looking for something possibly more meaningful. But here it is, okay, I am not sure there is something more meaningful. So this is the fear and guilt base. So this is where this resides. It is like your feelings are all over while you're understanding everything. You absolutely get the situation. You just have to figure out if you want to stay in. And it looks to me, Virgo, you do want to stay in it. You will stay in it on a different level. You don't really want to be single. I think this is what happens. And this is what's happening. Let your friends help you. Ask for and accept support from others. So here is this 9 of Pentacles. I think, reversed, I think it's like pretty much, I would say, financial concern in this case. Yeah, look at this, like 5 of Swords reverse. It could be the third person here. You see, just like what we saw over here, it's like kind of like a kind of victory, kind of somebody wants to win. But this is saying in this situation, really nobody wins. And this is asking you to really reach out, like to kind of understand there is this kindness and love around you. See, the Emperor is coming out when it's going to tell us that you have to really be very practical. You have to understand that there is a strength, because like you had, where was it? You had a strength card, right? Twice showing up, where once that you have to work on it, and second, like it was kind of reversed. Now, you're having the Emperor, which does talk about stability and talks about control. And this is kind of enormous energy that actually has to be invested into this. So, you know, this is saying, look, you have to resolve those issues, and the best is to resolve it with your friends. So hopes and fears, guys, for yourself, it is time to take back control of your life. So, you see, you really want something that is against your best wishes, I think. Because look, if you really look at it, you kind of got it. You kind of like reach some kind of stability and equilibrium. And every single contact with this person that is kind of coming from the past is dual. You kind of want to move forward, but each time like all this kind of like terror comes back at you, and you're dealing with a whole bunch of things, and shame and pain and wrongs. And it's back and forth because it looks like you kind of engaged, and then on one side you have like this fairy tale that you want to live through, or for the other is the obligation. On the other side, you're realizing, wait a minute, you know, I just cannot find myself in it, right? So here is saying, look, you need to free yourself. So see, you need to free yourself from this guilt, from this feeling of being stuck, from feeling of I cannot make it, right? Yeah, these are the secrets that need to come out. Look, 18, that's 9, 8, 9, 9, right? So this is the anxiety, sleepless nights, guys. You know, you don't dare to break free. I think that's what it is. You are really afraid. You kind of like don't know how to tap in the dark on your own. And you see, talking about that, this is kind of asking you to open up and to have, that's why you have this courage. This is like why you have 8, 9, and 10s in your spread. Free yourself, because the last 2 messages for this month are free yourself and release your ex. The time has come to clear your energy. Write everything down that bugs you. Write everything down that you don't want, and use a full moon to burn it. Full moon is like when we get rid of things. And you see, you need to do that in order for this card to turn around, because when it turns around, your wishes are coming true and you're kind of getting really fully functional and happy. Until then, somebody is really self-absorbed here. See, again, the burdens have to be dropped. Wow, look, this is it. This is the key. You have to release this person. This person needs a severe fixing. Look, you have 10s everywhere. Like, you guys, this is a major change for you happening this month. And this change is going to come from inside. You guys are going to define what makes you happy, what you can tolerate and what you cannot tolerate. What is the burden, what is not burden. I think like what is like 1, 2, like you have all 4 10s. It's huge. This is going to be a huge breakthrough for you, Virgos. Huge. So we are going to do Lenormand next. So we're going to look at situation that is going on around you. And also, in the meantime, guys, please subscribe, like, and share. But most of all, comment, because that way I kind of like get more the complexity of the situation, which in your case, you guys are growing rapidly, really, really rapidly. I really have to commend you. It was for quite a few signs, but you have been recently really affected. So I'm going to lay down the Lenormand cards and come back so you don't have to waste your time. All right, so let's see what's happening here. Interestingly enough, you guys are in a good shape. So if you guys are first time on my channel, first of all, subscribe and like and share. But let me just explain to Lenormand is, this one is like, I mean, Pixie Lenormand, but it's made to look like tarot, but it's completely different in how it's being interpreted. And this is called Grand Tableau, where you're kind of like seeing pretty much the life. And I'm trying to figure out the energies of all of you. Now, there are like only 2 significators in Lenormand, the lady and the gentleman, and either of them can be you. So I'm just going to give you a few trajectories over here. So I have here next to the lady, I have the heart, the ring, and the stork. So this is this mountain that something happened, something has been cut off. And it looks like there was this new beginning in which we saw this kind of like passion, something kind of like jumping at you. And here we have this new beginning and something. This could be also the child, exactly as it says. and that kind of would make sense, that you're trying to stay in that relationship because of the kids, right? Because this is kind of interesting. Again, how you had it over there, that, you know, it kind of, you want to move forward in spite of kind of like knowing this bigger picture. And here again, I have the ship and the mice. Vermin meets the ship, ship meets the vermin, right? So you do understand that something is really not the healthy ambience for you, but you're still trying to figure out how to wiggle out, because you are aware of the betrayal, you are aware of the consequences of everything. You literally, you know. And you see, there's this issue with, I don't know, some kind of secrets and finances, and somebody kind of being smarty pants, and you kind of like, again, you acknowledging this and taking it in, not really being reactive, almost maybe just killing it, kind of saying, look, I'm not looking at the past. Sure, this is one way of dealing with this, and if you can handle it without going into resentment, that's okay. However, between you, for those of you who kind of are inquiring when is somebody else coming or what is happening with your partner, there is, again, what I saw there's like this newfound loyalty, and it's kind of like a luck and a crossroads, really, how to go about that, right? So it could be somebody from the past that is coming with all these love messages, that somebody from the past could have been in a really good financial shape. And this person could also be a co-worker, or there was some kind of interaction on a business level, or maybe you know this person from his or her place of business. And the place of business could be also something connected to health, or maybe two of you are connecting in some kind of like health connected activities, tasks, conversations. And in fact, the fact that you do have a lots of common interests, I think, is like what can push you out of the situation. So even though it looks like this person wronged you, but kind of like you also had your own share of things, which kind of like on your side was kind of like really argumentativeness, and maybe you have been basically blamed for nagging. But hey, it was not indecisiveness, it was not sneakiness, because you see, you're knighting the snake and the snake goes toward him. So obviously there was this issue of the secrets coming up that had to be resolved, and how to resolve them to get to this happy home, and to kind of like this happy communication where like there is that sneakiness. So that is still kind of the obstacle that has to be worked on, right? This has to be kind of like put to rest. But it looks like, I mean, even the partner, if this is you, this is again somebody is dealing with financial kind of like life and focusing onto that and trying to put certain things in the past. You see, here is again that coffin, that situation about free yourself, right? Kind of like, do you really think you deserve this path? Should you go into this path? Because look, this is a definitely karmic connection. Karmic connections are, I mean, each of us has a different definition. I can just go by what I see in my readings and how I observe people. Soulmates and karmic connections, and I'm so tired of explaining this because so many people have this fairy tale syndrome where, you know, there's this perfect person who's going to just appear from the sky and everything will work out phenomenally well. And that it works phenomenally well for 2 months and then it doesn't anymore, right? And that's really the soulmate, the person who kind of brings attention to one issue, and it is brought to that attention to this issue because that emotional charge is there. So you kind of work on it and they kind of like put you back on this path, just like what is happening here. So you see this person is coming to this crossroads, and next to the cross, so karmic connection is bringing that message stronger. That means that you strayed away quite a bit and they're returning you back. These are the lessons you want to have in this life. So, and you're coming back in your path, guys, over here, clearing it. And so I see both. I see that it could be question, you'll put under question, do you want to go with the sneakiness, or can you kind of lift these clouds and this whole situation or not? It could be really like, I mean, this is kind of like really difficult position here that you have a coffin in a cross house. So really karmic situation. And I too, if I have to advise and people ask me to advise, you know, be very careful with this reconciliation, and this is advising to put it to rest. So it can be the same person that you continue with, but that person has to be different. This person has to get it. Just continuing with it, could be you. If you want to continue, you have to literally bury. everything and never open that book again, because this is Nightingale. So I'm going to do next the Gypsy, also grand tableau, and that one doesn't exist anywhere on YouTube. Give it a try. And with Gypsy, we're going to see way more significators. Here we have only 2. We're going to have single, free, women, young women, older women, women with kids, married guys, cheating guys. We'll see everything there, and see kind of like really emotional engagement. This is more situational engagement, and tarot is more spiritual engagement and kind of like karmic lessons. So 52 cards. I have to put them on the table. When I do, I'm going to plug myself in back. All right, guys, so let's check it out here. So you have a few significators here. Let me just try to move it, because one important is here as well. So you have a lover. So again, forget the gender. Any one of them can be you. You have a lover, and then you have Lord. So generally, a lover signifies a single guy, and Lord signifies somebody married or in a relationship or a professional, or somebody who kind of like prides themselves to be better than the others. Then you have Sweetheart, which could be young single women, women looking for somebody, and young woman also, somebody looking for somebody. And then we have a Wife, which can significate either a married woman or a person who has kids. Again, any one of them can be either a significator of you or somebody who is maybe a part of your story. But we also have a foe, and then we have enemy, which could be rivals in our lives. So check it out. Kind of like really clustered, very much the situation I've seen here. You have a lover, somebody, maybe you have been engaged with someone, or you have been going through misfortune and fortune, just like what you're going here, like deep and high, right? Here's like these two things, and kind of like putting things in perspective. Okay, so something bad happened, but this was the silver lining out of it, and I'm kind of trying to figure it out. So you see, there are like kind of certain things that are kind of helping and servicing, certain things that are not servicing. Here, the interesting part next to this possibly guy who is with someone. Keep in mind, I'm just looking for these general readings, only upright situation. For your personal readings, I only put Gypsy or Leatherman for 60-minute consultations, because this is kind of really difficult to read. So here I see whether it could be you or somebody you have been with who is asking the end of this relationship. So see, you have the money, and money can represent secrets, and there is like a sorrow about it, you know, in all of it. And it has been connected to cheating as well, or somebody having way too much fun, being flirty, overly flirty about it, and or they will still continue doing that in spite of maybe communicating. Well, this is not the case, it is. But one of these significators is starting to come to an end of this ordeal. So it could be a young woman, also can be a daughter, because Sweetheart could be those of you guys who are maybe on and off relationships. So you see here it says enemy and young woman. So it's certainly a rival. It's certainly somebody that you had possibly in the past, right? That is definitely connected with this cheating or flirting, or making you feel very, very uncomfortable, making you feel, see, here is like you have a foe, and here you have an enemy. For sure you felt attacked, and you're trying to regain this cheerfulness, right? This is that strength kind of coming back to it, even though you still kind of have this malady, which kind of like was this 5 of Cups that we had, like there's this depression, and you see the doctor and malady here. You're kind of trying to make sure how it works out financially, and you're waiting for things to happen, just like what we saw there. You get it, you get it, you have no doubts. What happened happened. You know what happened, and you're not going to be sold anything. Where is Merchant? Here is Merchant. So yeah, something is going to happen that again you're going to be told a story. You remember that manipulation that I've seen over there. So merchant is basically talking about, you see, a pride, and somebody just wants to present themselves as different. So this is kind of interesting trajectory over here, because we see a him or one significator trying to get out of relationship that can be either with a child. He can have a child, and maybe some of you are waiting for some person to get out of their relationship for you to kind of move forward and redefine. But then it's going to be okay for a while, just like what we saw there, because you have the frivolity and you have haughtiness both together, and there is this heart-to-heart conversation, and communication is going to be kind of like some kind of like lucky stroke. But at the same time, this all has a tint of, how do I deal with this? How do I handle it? Because I feel my peace of mind has been stolen, and there are still secrets. And then this person might be kind of coming toward you and kind of like reconcile. So there is like redefining this relationship, just in the end to again default to who they are, because the wife here is being shown next to prison and next to thief. So right, this is what happens when you do bad things. You kind of end up in prison and feeling stuck. And even the wife is bearing somebody. See, there are too many secrets. See, there's the wedding and the widower coming together, and sights and a child. So you see, there is kind of understanding of some kind of falseness, because she has this thief, melancholy, love and despair in her trajectory here, and here she has sights and child. So this is again for those of you who want to stay, who feel their prison was that religious factors is also prison. I have to do it. I have to do it because I am married to this person, I have children with this person. Just like enter whatever is your excuse, right? So again, this prison card could be reversed, because just give me a sec, because I'm looking this only in the upright situation. But when prison card is reversed, that would mean kind of like breaking out. I actually do feel, because this reunion card here on the bottom was in reverse situation here, so it's kind of, you're going to start waking up, and you're going to get it. You're going to start putting things in perspective, get your strength, shed this guilt of what you expected, and start being loyal to yourself. So Virgo, really quite a few different storylines over here. For this basically single women, you're still kind of waiting for somebody, you still want kind of like to feel happy. And single women are actually going to also kind of like go on a journey. They're going to meet somebody. There is a passion that we saw. It's happening here. Communication. Something's going to look very lucky. You may fall in love and have a big love in a few months. However, that person is going to also be a little manipulator, can make you jealous. So remember this: if he makes you jealous, this is a dead end. It's not going anywhere with this person. So keep that in mind. So Virgo, I also pulled 3 cards for you to kind of like seal this reading. So this is a huge mega reading, like a half a year reading. So that kind of like gives you even more trajectory than 1 month. You kind of like see down the road what's happening. So just kind of like check in. So this is what I got. Wishing well. So you guys are getting it. You have to get rid of this guilt. You have to dig inside and clean this debris. You have to kind of clean your air. Check on my Sapphire Dreams channel. I put this new video, how to clean negativity from your home. So this is it, releasing these beautiful wishes to the universe, like that kind of like beautiful sun energy. And then you had cleaning house. And cleaning house again, like it's self-explanatory. We have pretty much all these elements. We have the kitty kind of like waiting. Do we go forward? Do we go backward? And this is again, who are you? Are you really feeling you're solid on your 2 feet? And what has to go? Now, the most interesting part of all of it was this, and it's 47, which kind of makes it 11. So this again is telling me you're going through a karmic phase. If you really look at it, because you had this lotus over here, then you had this reflection here, then you had this courage, the little flower, a wildflower coming out, and now you have sacred pool. So that's where you're kind of like landing, right? It says embody the love you wish to see in the world, right? So basically it's asking you, when you look into the mirror, do you like what you see? Because that's what the sacred pool does. It asks you that you focus on self-love and self-esteem. Shed all this kind of preconceived notions what you should. Remove should from your vocabulary and say, if sky was the limit, as you have here, what is the shooting star I want to make a wish on, right? So we all are works in progress, that's for sure. And so you need to have detached self-examination, get rid of that guilt, right? And this is asking for rigorous honesty with yourself as well. Remember, you had this honesty with somebody else, so you're going to hear them out just like a judge. Sure, yeah, I hear ya. And then you have to become this high priestess and absorb that secret and deal with this and make a decision. I think most of you Virgos are going to just cut the cords, and you're going to realize that you're so much more than who you were and who basically you would become if you continue. So when this comes, it's saying that you're going to be at peace with yourself. You're going to see actually how far you have come and how magical your life is. And almost like it's going to be a spark, even though kind of like this has the depth and the height, it's going to be really interesting kind of like epiphanies that you'll be receiving, and you'll be reaping really the greatest rewards. So it is kind of like really your unique service to the world, right? That you're actually part of it. You didn't happen. It was not a mistake, as I said. Just over here, this is basically just repeating this message, right? You kind of like need to also celebrate this month that you are not here as a mistake. You're here to actually create this. By you making this decision to move on, you're setting in motion a completely different chain of events. So you have to kind of like, this is a love within you. This is your heart chakra. We need to kind of like go into depth and defrost this winter solstice and go, you see, this is kind of like first the thought, and here you're going really in it. So be at peace, because you are beautiful and you're loved. Kind of act with surety and confidence, and success will be yours. And just keep doing the good work, Virgo. You will be moving forward, and you will be moving forward to your highest good. You are again going to the next level of your karma. Have a great month, Virgo. Please subscribe, share, like, and comment, please. And please join my Facebook so you get more information about tarot. And lastly, yes, you know where you can contact me if you want your private reading. All the best. Love you.